Hello, and my message to you is don't run fast, finish strong. The book of Hebrews is actually a letter written to what most think are the Jewish believers in Christ. Some think Apostle Paul wrote the letters, but theologians don't really agree with this. The most important thing is to note the key message found in Hebrews 12:1. It starts off with therefore, a concluding word, and that's because after the writer shares all the great things that Noah, Moses, Abraham, Solomon, and so many others did in the first 11 books, chapter 12 and 13 teaches us what we need to do to run our God-given race successfully. So here's Hebrews 12:1, and it reads, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses who by faith have testified to the truth of God's absolute faithfulness, stripping off every unnecessary weight and the sin which so easily and cleverly entangles us, let us run with endurance and active persistence the race that is set before us. So I've identified three key principles in that one verse which might help us to understand what we need to do to run our own race successfully. So number one, set aside anything which causes us not to place our full faith in God. That might be a situation, emotions, or circumstances which could hinder our growth and progress. And number two, run with endurance. Some translations say perseverance. To endure or to persevere means to keep going, remain focused despite pain and even when the going gets tough. This reminds me a bit about some marathon runners. Now, they prepare for a grueling 26-mile race over many months. Their goal is not to run fast, but to finish strong. In fact, if they try to run fast, they run out of steam and will never finish that race. That's the message the writer in Hebrews is communicating with us. Most of us will face obstacles at one point or another, but we must focus on our God-given reason and purpose so that we too can finish strong. The pressure to run like others has never been so great in our modern society. If we're not careful, we might be influenced by someone's social media post showing people with ideal, airbrushed lives. And what about reality TV personalities? They might be far from ideal and don't actually fit your purpose. And what about influencers? That's a new word that's come up in the last, I'd say, 3 to 5 years. And these are people usually on YouTube or other channels who are influencing a tribe of people. Now, if you're not careful, you could feel like you failed or you feel less than just because of the wrongful comparison made with someone who has a completely different path from you. So let me make this clear. I have nothing against social media, influencers, and reality TV. Some of them have done great things and they've changed people's lives. However, we must be aware that if we don't put all we see into perspective, we could fall under the weight of sin. By sin, I mean envy, jealousy, backbiting, and other reactions and emotions could encroach in our lives. Now, as the amplified version of Hebrews 12:1 says, sin that so easily and cleverly entangles us, it can take over, so beware. Now, number three, run the race set before you. What is your organization, ministry, local church, or a non-profit? What is the reason and the purpose for it existing? In other words, what mission has God given you? I've seen so many individuals, organizations just go off course and either close or give up simply because they are not focusing on mission. Now, let me remind you that each of us, you, me, all of us, were brought to this earth for someone else to fulfill their mission. Yes, your purpose is bigger than you and your circumstances. I want to remind you as we cross over to another year, stay in your lane, run your own race, and let Jesus set the place of your life, your ministry, your decisions, and therefore your final outcome.